بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وارزقنا فهما. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Alhamdulillah, as always in the beginning we thank Allah. And in the last few sessions we have talked about how to prepare ourselves better to receive and enter into the month of Ramadan. And we mentioned about the importance of understanding Al-Islam as a whole, so that we cannot be hijacked by partiality of our understanding of Al-Islam, that we take Islam partially and we separate Islam between that part and the other part. Looks like we can be Muslim in certain months, but in other months it is not necessary to pay attention to Al-Islam. And that's what's the reason why we see some double standard personality in the Muslim's life. And the meaning of double standard personality, and in one hand, oftentimes we feel and we claim to be so good Muslims, but on the other hand, it is very easy for us to violate the very teaching of Islam itself. To be blunt, to be open, and to be honest, we come to the masajid praying 5 times daily. We do our fasting the whole month of Ramadan annually. Even we perform Hajj possibly many times. But we cannot preserve our honesty when we are dealing with other people. We are not honest. Very easily cheating, for example. Now the question is, why this double standard personality? The answer is because we have understood Islam partially and have accepted Islam partially, have taken Islam partially, take some part, and we bluntly, openly reject some part of Islam. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Holy Quran. أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe in some portion of the Holy Quran and you disbelieve in some? When the Quran talk about salat, mashallah, there's no doubt about it. When the Quran talks about fasting, inshallah, sami'na wa ata'na. We heard and we obeyed it. When the Quran says, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حَجَّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا فَمِنْ حَجٍّ, mashallah, we try our best so that we can perform Hajj one day. But the moment Islam talk about the importance of honesty, humbleness, being kind to others, being helpful to others, the importance of being charitable, the importance of being honest in life, with our family, with our own spouses, for example, with our own kids. It is so difficult. And so we see that Muslims are, in many ways, have some kind of double standards in their personality. And the reason, it goes back to the way we see our deen, that we take our deen partially. So Allah says in the Quran, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe in some portion of the Holy Quran and you disbelieve in other portion of the Quran? We take some, we reject some. We embrace some, we kick some. That is the way we behave towards our deen. As a result, what Allah says, فَمَا جَزَاءُ مَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا خِزْيٌ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يُرَدُّونَ إِلَى أَشَدِّ الْعَذَابِ وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. As a result of that, when you take Islam partially, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us humiliation. Khizyun. Humiliation upon humiliation have been befalling on this ummah. Economically, politically, socially. You see, this ummah is being humiliated on different areas of life. And one of the reasons is, if we come back to the Holy Quran, because of the at-tab'id fil iman, partially believing in the teaching. We take some and we reject some. And that has become a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliate us particularly in our social and public life. The challenge that this ummah is facing is tremendous. It's just unbearable. It's just beyond our comprehension. In terms of unity, this ummah is among the most disunited ummah. One group of people, another group of people, they are fighting each other. But at the same time, both are claiming to be innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. The believers are but the brothers. But they are raising their hands to harm their brothers and sisters on many reasons. Brothers and sisters, so we talk about the importance of understanding Islam comprehensively, and the importance of entering into the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comprehensively, completely. That's what Allah says, udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. Enter into the deen of Allah completely. Now we studied about the 5 pillars of Islam. And we talk about Shahada, we talk about Salat, we talk about Zakat, and even we talk about Hajj. And purposely, I am going to talk about fasting as the last, because that is the point that we're going to talk in these coming days, about fasting. Many of our scholars, our speakers, our ulama, our lecturers are speaking about fasting mostly in the month of Ramadan. So we are going to talk about fasting mostly in these coming days, before and during the month of Ramadan. So beginning from tonight, I'm going to talk about fasting because we talk about Shahada, Salat, Zakat, and Hajj. And the question now is why fasting is necessary. Why it is obligated upon the Muslim to perform fast. There are many answers can be given, but I would like to limit myself for tonight into some few answers. And the first answer is why fasting is necessary. And again, coming back to the hadith, Buni al-Islamu ala khamsin, Islam is built on 5 pillars. So there are 5 pillars. And let me remind us once again, pillars do not represent the whole building. Islam is a complete building. So Rasulullah tells us about the 5 pillars. It's made a foundation. Shahadat, Salat, Zakat, and then we talk even about Hajj. And tonight we are going to talk about fasting. So we ask this question, why Shahadat? And we talk about that. One of the crucial questions that some people ask around is about wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Why you Muslim? Why you people? When you say Shahadat, ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, you mention only one prophet, one Rasul. In the meantime, you claim that you believe in the whole prophets of Allah, the whole messengers of Allah, the whole Rasul. But then you say, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. You don't mention Nuh, you don't mention Ibrahim, you don't mention Musa and Isa and others. So people are asking that question, and we answer that. So go back to my lecture before. Now, the other question is why you have to pray that much? 5 times daily. You have Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Is it not sufficient to pray once or twice? We see our Christian friends are going to the churches once in a week. Our Jewish friends going to the synagogue once in a week. Why Muslims are praying too much? You know, people are asking that question, and our youngsters, our young brothers and sisters, they call themselves millennials. There's a lot of questions in their mind, but one is why we have to pray that much. And we answered that in our past session. Then why zakat? We answer also in our last discussion. And why Hajj? Also we answer that in our last question. So the question tonight is, why fasting? First of all, Allah says in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Surah Al-Baqarah 183, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O believers, or you who believe, fasting had been prescribed upon you, and it was prescribed on those who were before you. In other words, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the believers. Apparently, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that those who don't believe cannot perform fasting. So the call is to the iman. The call is to the faith. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Kutiba, it is prescribed, or it was prescribed, it had been prescribed. Alaykum as-siyam, upon you the fasting. It is an obligatory, it had become an obligation upon you. Kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, as it was prescribed upon those who were before you. It means the Holy Quran informed us that the obligation of fasting is not new and exclusively to this ummah. It was also an obligation to those who were before us. And the ummah of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, the ummah of other prophets, they're being commanded to perform fasting. And even today, brothers, you can still find that the remainings of those fastings still can be found with them. That almost every nation has their own fasting. From the Jewish people to the Christian people to the even Hindu people, you know, they have certain type of fasting just to justify